All right, everybody, back with another one. This is going to be probably a quick video. Um, just wanted to talk about the inauguration coming up on Monday. Donald Trump will be inaugurated as the 47th president of the United States this coming Monday, January 20th, 2025. And it's going to be an interesting day, I think. We're down to the last weekend before the inauguration, so um, anything major that was going to happen or is going to happen is either going to happen this weekend or on the inauguration day. That could be anything from, just the day being a big success, a lot of people showing up, um, or, a terrorist attack or something, to try and stop the inauguration from happening or some sort of disruption. At this point, I don't think the government is going to do anything. I know a lot of the Democrats were trying to block his, taking over the presidency. But at this point now, you're at the weekend. Government's closed on the weekends, and um, Monday is the inauguration. So I don't think they're doing anything at this point from a governmental standpoint. But that doesn't mean that something can't happen from, uh, you know, uh, a different actor or some sort of organization uh, getting involved in trying to, make a statement. But we're going to see what happens. We're going to see in this final weekend uh, what that looks like. But it's anybody's guess. What I did want to talk about today is the pretty big talking point in the news. Donald Trump has said that he's going to put through basically 100 executive orders on his first day in office. I think there's a lot of anticipation around this because, he's spoken a little bit about what some of those might be and what they might entail. And, uh, sometimes people get a little nervous because a politician comes in and then all of a sudden they put all these executive orders through, and now they immediately start making changes that affect, industries and, maybe have repercussions that affect the American people. And sometimes it's a bad thing. A lot of American presidents have abused the executive order power, which was never meant to be what it's become today. But at this point, it's kind of too far gone. Many presidents have abused it, having done countless executive orders in their time in office. And it's kind of like a way of skirting, trying to get around Congress. But that's not what his intention was. It was intended, for really important things with a crucial deadline. And we've kind of gone past that now to basically just the president saying, I'm passing this into law, which is not really a law. It's an executive order. Order is not a law. Um, but Donald Trump claims that he's going to put these 100 executive orders through his first day. That will probably uh, follow with some legislative stuff from Congress that they have to get involved with, and maybe some of these things become law. Maybe some of them just remain executive orders. We will see, but we're going to take a look at some of the stuff that he said that he's going to put in his executive orders and sign them the first day, day one, 100 of them. And I think the American people are anticipating and interested to see, what those might look like and how they might benefit us. Because many people voted for Trump because they wanted him to come in and take action right away and maybe correct some of the things that the previous administration did, and also maybe put some new stuff in motion, innovate and help get America back on track to being, the greatest nation in the world and the most prosperous nation in the world. So we're going to take a look now at, some of those executive orders that he's looking to pass on day one. So here's an article with just 11 things. We'll take a look at these. These are probably the biggest highlights. Immigration is definitely a big one. If you don't know by now, we've had tens of millions of illegal immigrants, migrants really, pouring into the country under the Biden administration. And many of them are, it's documented. This is not, my opinion. This is just what the authorities have confirmed. Many of them are criminals and have either been criminals arrested and jailed in their country or have done crimes here in our country and been arrested. But either way, they're initially criminals from breaking the law by entering the country illegally, even if the president at the time, suspended that order. Um, they're still breaking the law on the books. I think a lot of times, especially the way things are today politically, um, a lot of times people think that the president could just do whatever he wants, and whoever's in office, they make the decisions that if this is how they want something to be right now, the laws that are on the books don't count. That's not how it works. If the laws are on the books, even the president has to abide by the law. Um, there are obviously ways around certain things. That's what the executive orders are for, to sort of be like a workaround for laws. But they're not supposed to be, rewriting the laws or overriding them completely and indefinitely. Um, so immigration is a big thing. He's probably going to do this very quickly from day one, because he made so many campaign promises about deporting a lot of these people back to their original countries. Um, and he's got a lot of people that want him to do that. So he's probably going to sign that into his group of initial executive orders right away and begin deporting people immediately. Also, he'll probably end up doing something where he reinstitutes the construction of the border wall to finish it. I do remember seeing that the Biden administration was selling off pieces of the wall that had not been finished. They had been extra materials that were waiting to be installed. But then government got involved and put a stop to that. Again, this goes back to my previous video about how there's a war in the government. When one president is selling off border wall pieces that the American taxpayers paid for and selling them off, cheaply just to get rid of them quickly. But who's really buying that stuff? I mean, the only people that buy border walls are countries that need them for their borders. It's such a specific item. No one's really buying that for like a construction project in America. No one's putting a border wall that could, block people out from the border of a country as their gate around, fence around their mansion. This is a very specific item that really only countries are going to buy those materials for the border of their land. So I don't even know who he was selling it to. It was probably just for parts, but these things are already manufactured and you really can't undo them. I think it's got like rebar inside and concrete inside the metal itself. So it's like multi-layered. You can't undo the workmanship. So I don't really know how anybody would get to be able to use the parts from the border wall. And like I said, not really many buyers out there for it. So I just don't know who's even buying this. But they put a stop to it. And I have a feeling that Trump's going to also sign something, if it's not in that executive order as well, where he reinstitutes the installation of the border wall and takes back those pieces that were, originally being sold off by the Biden administration. But it says right here, immigration, he begins to begin a mass deportation program. So we just talked about that. That's probably very likely. Ending birthright citizenship. So this is anybody who's born in the United States, automatically granted citizenship. So this has to do with a term that they call anchor babies, which is basically anybody who comes from another country and they're very close to giving birth, and their child is born on the land in America, on our soil. America grants them citizenship, the child. Citizenship because they were born here on our land. Even though their parents are not from this country and they're not citizens of this country, they grant citizenship to the child. And then through that, they provide a path for the parents to get citizenship a lot quicker than if they were in their own country applying. And it's sort of like a loophole to cheat the system. And it kind of does make things unfair for the people who are in other countries that apply for citizenship in America, that are waiting patiently and doing the right thing legally to, be given the opportunity to become an American citizen, or at least come over here and have that chance to work and earn a living and build a life here while they wait for their green card. Um, I think a lot of immigrants or people from other countries that are looking to become Americans are probably more upset about that than Americans who are already here, because it doesn't affect us too much other than some of these people may take the jobs from Americans that they currently hold. Um, but other than that, I really don't think most Americans, they care from like a political standpoint, or they're not really upset about it. I think more people from other countries are upset about it because they're going about it the right way, and they're getting cut in line from these people who are kind of cheating the system with this loophole. So that's something that I think that, you may see more legal citizens who are born in another country who came here and did it the right way. They're probably going to be more happy about that executive order than the actual Americans who were born and raised here their whole life. He's going to end Biden era border policy. So this goes back to the whole border wall thing. He's probably going to close the border, like he said on day one he is, and then uh, make everybody do it the right way, and also reinstall the border wall, like I mentioned. This is a big one. Pardoning the January 6 people who were there um, during the January 6th inauguration, that whole time period when Biden was coming in. Um, how they stormed the Capitol building, and one woman ended up dying actually, and then it came out later on, video footage that the Capitol Police may have been involved in letting them in, uh, you know, uh, without being forced. They just casually let them in, and now it's come out that there were many FBI agents that were actually undercover, incentivizing the, regular MAGA people who were there supporting Trump to storm the Capitol. So that's entrapment. If you don't know, that's actually illegal. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to um, try and trick people into committing a crime, especially, as a law enforcement official or a government official. You're not allowed to trick people into committing a crime. And then when they do commit it, you consider them breaking the law and arrest them for that crime. That's known as entrapment. You're not allowed to do that. So if the FBI agents, if it's proven that they did do this, not only should these January 6 people be allowed out of prison because now they've already served, time. So it's not like they didn't get in trouble. They broke into the Capitol building. They shouldn't have done that. And many of them did serve jail time or get fines or whatever the penalty was. So they did do their time. But the FBI agents should be tried for entrapment, for putting these people in that situation and tricking them basically into committing those crimes. Even if some of them were planning on doing it anyway, the fact that these FBI agents were pushing them further to make that decision, to act on it, that's still entrapment, in my opinion. And I would have it taken to a court of law. So we'll see what happens. I guarantee you Trump is going to release these people and pardon them, um, because that's what he said he's going to do. But if his team investigates this further and finds out the FBI or whatever government organization was involved in the way that they were, and they do investigate it and discover that there was entrapment involved, I really hope that he, prosecutes or at least gets these people prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, because that's illegal. And um, if we don't put a stop to that, the government will abuse that. They'll continue to abuse it, and they'll use it as a strategy to get people that they have opposition with, or that they're on the other side. They don't like them. The Democrats could use this against the Republicans and vice versa. It's really not good. But, people have to be held accountable. Otherwise, they'll just keep doing it. So hopefully he will, open up an investigation about this and go back and get these people in trouble. Ending the war in Ukraine. That's a big one. Obviously, this is foreign affairs, And if you're a pro-constitution, constitutionalist type-minded person, um, you likely don't believe in America having, uh, you know, much, if any, foreign affairs or involvement in foreign affairs, and that America should really just mind its business and take care of its own country, unless there's something major like a world war, like what happened in World War II, where if we didn't get involved, maybe that would have ended up catastrophically, where maybe Germany would have taken over many other countries in the world, and then maybe they would have been a bigger force to fight against the United States. So if we didn't do it, maybe we wouldn't still be the superpower today. Um, but many people want to see this war ended. I think both sides, the Russians and the Ukrainian people, want to see this war ended. I think there's probably a big political agenda to keep it going because there's a war industry where the governments make money during wars, and there's probably a lot more going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. But I think a lot of people would like to see this war ended. So I don't know how he's going to put an executive order through that says we're ending the war in Ukraine because he doesn't have that authority. These are two foreign countries. They can do what they want. But he's probably going to come up with some sort of, negotiation and get them both to agree to it. So we'll see what happens with that. Also, too, like, don't just think a president could come in and sign any executive order and that's it. It has to go that way. There's going to be some things in here where he's going to say, I'm going to end the war in Ukraine or, with Israel and Palestine. And he doesn't have that authority. Those are foreign countries. They can do whatever they want in their own country. If they choose to go to war, they can do it. If they choose to end it, they can end it. But he can get involved and help them negotiate, come to a resolution, which is likely what he's going to do because Trump is an expert negotiator. This is a huge one, implementing tariffs. I think this might be the most important executive order, and not just executive order, but this may be one of the most important things that Trump does in his 4-year term, in his presidency this time around. And it's a brilliant plan, but this is not new. This is how America was founded. America used to get a lot of their money from tariffs, from basically, taxing other countries to bring in their products and trade with them. The only tax that existed when America was founded was sales tax, and that's actually what's the constitutional way of collecting Americans' fair share is through sales tax. All other taxes are not constitutionally based. Even income tax, there is an amendment in there, but there's no law for income tax to be, it's voluntary. The people voluntarily give their money to the government through income tax. The problem is if they don't voluntarily give it, the government tries to come and take it from you by force. That's not constitutional. It's technically unlawful. And most people don't know that. But Trump's plan is to abolish the income tax and to, I think he said he's going to develop, which is actually pretty brilliant. You have the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. He's going to develop an office, which is the ERS, I think it is, External Revenue Service, which is other countries, so outside of the United States. And he's going to use tariffs to make up the difference of the money that they're losing from no longer collecting taxes from the people on income and property and things like that. And instead, he's going to make that money up from other countries. That's a great idea. That's a brilliant plan, and that's how it should be. Everybody who wants to do business with us needs to pay their fair share, and vice versa. We pay our fair share to them. That's how business works, right? Both parties get involved, and everybody, pays their fair share and does the right thing. If they're providing a service, they provide the service, and then they get compensated, or a product, same thing. And if you're not, then you just no longer do business with those people, right? That's just basic common sense. But this, I think, would be huge, and I'm interested to see what that executive order looks like. Once he actually does put it through, we may get the actual executive order itself and read it on here, but we'll see in future episodes. Cancel electric vehicle mandates. Well, I do agree that they shouldn't mandate electric vehicles, and they shouldn't be trying to force gas car manufacturing companies to end their gas manufacturing and instead replace it with electric, because that's just not realistic or feasible. We don't have the infrastructure today to completely change the car industry and cancel all the gas vehicles and replace them with all electric. It just can't happen. It took Elon Musk with Tesla like 15 years to get Tesla to where it is today. And they're still only a very small percentage of the marketplace. The bigger companies that have been around forever, they have a much bigger percentage of the marketplace, and that's going to be that way for decades to come. It's going to take a long time before Tesla really penetrates the market to have a significant share of the entire car market. And they're the biggest electric vehicle company. So this whole electric thing, it's very forced down America's throat, and it all has to do with climate change and getting rid of gasoline combustion engines. There are other ways to do, combustion engines and have them clean and have them, a lot safer. There are other forms of, you know, um, energy and, just the way that, you can run a vehicle with things other than gasoline. Um, but a lot of the big car companies, and other parties involved, do not want that information getting out because it would change the game. The oil companies would take a huge hit financially if they didn't dominate the market by everybody having to buy, gasoline and oil from them. If there's other forms of energy, it hurts them, right? Now it's a lot different today. You see the solar industry. People are changing their homes to have solar power. They're putting panels on their roof, and it's changing the game for a lot of these electric companies. Um, that's like that with many different things now that are in new innovations on the market. Um, so the American people shouldn't be forced to, have an electric car if that's not what they want, but they should allow more forms of energy to be, added to the manufacturing processes of these car companies and other things, planes, other vehicles as well, um, to offer different types of, stuff to the marketplace. Not everything has to be gas or electric. It doesn't have to be one or the other. There could be a variety of things. Maybe you have a nuclear powered vehicle. Who knows? But there are many different forms of power and energy, and those need to be allowed on the marketplace. There's a battery company. I forget the name, but they actually power their batteries using zinc and air, and it's a process, but it actually works, and they even have government contracts, and it's completely different and much cleaner and less bad on the environment than mining for lithium. But that's just one type. I mean, since the 60s or 70s, people have been saying you could run a car on water by using, the hydrogen from the H2O, and that's highly combustible, burns very clean. So, there are many different ways to power our vehicles, and I hope that Trump opens up and incentivizes companies to explore those options. But yeah, it'd be nice to, not be mandated to have all the cars be electric or nothing to ride a bike. Um, so this is also good too, drilling, bringing back drilling to America. I think that's a big one too, because, right when uh, they had the Keystone XL pipeline, gas prices were going down. They were extremely low. They would continue to go low. And that's the thing. People think like you can't have yesteryear's prices today. You can. The reason the prices are the way they are is mostly because of regulation and inflation. There's no reason why prices can't be what they were in the early 1900s. It's all because of government's bad policies and putting so many regulations on these companies that it increases the prices. And obviously the printing of the money with inflation as well. But yeah, the government ruins the country. The people don't ruin the country. The people get up every day and go to work. The businesses innovate and try and find new ways to do things for a lower cost to be able to offer the market, the marketplace, a lower price product. And, uh, a business is always trying to cut costs. That's just part of how businesses operate. The government is the one that ruins it and increases prices, or, even if not directly, indirectly. Um, so there's no reason why America shouldn't be drilling for oil in our country. We have so much oil here. Like I said in past videos, Alaska alone is like 40% the landmass of the United States. So if you look at Alaska on a map, a lot of times we don't even really notice it because it's up there by Canada. But if you look at the size of Alaska, it's about 40% of the entire size of the continental United States. It's a huge state. It's the biggest state in the entire country. A lot of people, when they think about big states, they think about Texas or California. You could fit multiple Texases and Californias inside of Alaska. It's huge. And there's so much oil opportunity there, but we don't drill there. But we own it. It's America's, right? Alaska is one of the 50 states. We should be drilling for oil. And that's just one state, by the way. There's 49 other states. We should be drilling for oil in America. It would save us so much money, and gas prices would be cheaper. Not to mention, if you have oil heat in your house, that would be cheaper, and every single thing that's affected by that. Think about all the manufacturing that goes on, throughout the world or even in America. Anything that uses oil or gas or whatever, it would inherently decrease prices across the board for many different products and services. So, yeah, I think the drilling is huge. We need to drill in America. We need to bring back, um, doing a lot of our own manufacturing and, getting raw materials from our land versus always going overseas to do that. That really is one of the biggest things that crippled and hurt the American economy over these last, 5 decades. So this goes with that too. Made in America, right? The auto industry. He wants to start incentivizing people to make products in America. That would be huge. That's another great way to lower prices for things. If things are made in America, you save a lot of money on shipping from overseas. Not to mention, prices we pay to trade with other countries. Um, they set the prices at what they want. And if they're your only resource, if we're getting everything from one country and we not getting it from anywhere else, and we can't because they're their only resource, they're going to get to charge whatever they want. But if we manufacture things in America again, the prices will go down. You will see an explosion of growth in America, and you will see so many people move up the ranks. If you look at statistically over the last several decades, um, the middle class has been shrinking, and it's been spilling over into the poor and rich class. But the majority of them from the middle class have been moving to the poor class because it's a lot harder to get to the rich class. You have to actually grow and move up. Well, if you just stay the way you are, but the economy around you is getting worse, you're going to naturally fall into the poor class. And that's what happened in this country. The middle class shrunk and the poor class grew. So a lot more people are technically considered poor by American standards. And a lot of that has to do with stuff like this, things being made in other countries, us paying higher rates to do that, and, having no other options, no competition, because competition will drive the price down, right? Supply and demand, basic economics. So, yeah, I mean, this would really hugely help Americans. And, even if you're still working the same job and you're making the average income, I think is $55,000 a year. If you're making that money and you've been struggling the last 4 years under Biden, if prices come down on products and food and, all different types of things, even though you're making the same money, you'll keep more of it and you'll feel like you got a pay raise. You feel like you're making more money and you'll feel like you're doing better financially. So these are really important things. Economy is huge. Economy is more important than almost anything, because it affects so many other things. Um, this one's interesting. Transgender rights, limit participation in women's sports. Oh yeah, I saw that. That was about not letting men play in women's sports. That's something that I don't know if the government really needs to get involved in that. That seems more like it should be handled by people and the organizations that are involved. If you know, uh, I feel like that should probably be more left up to the states, right? Because it's a lot more local. But and I'm not saying I'm for it because I'm not. Um, I just don't think that the federal government should be involved in every single decision. A lot of these things should go to the states. The federal government's supposed to deal with things that affect the nation on a national level, where it affects all 50 states, and it's just out of the control of the people. They can't individually deal with this issue, so they turn to the federal government to handle it because it's just too massive. Like healthcare and the border and things like that, the economy. Um, but when it comes to stuff like this, uh, it may be best if it's a state issue because just like abortion, right? It's in the Constitution, you're supposed to leave a lot of these things up to the states because it's more local, more based on what the people in that area want, what they believe, what their politics are. People who are living in Alabama are not going to think the same way. They don't live the same way. They don't have the same type of upbringing or just overall lifestyle as people who are in California. It's almost like a different country, so you kind of have to leave those things up to the state. But he wants to, ban it, and he's going to use an executive order apparently to do it. So we'll see what happens. And same thing here, just like continuation, ending gender affirming care practices, which I think has to do with um, allowing children, because I don't think it was about adults. I think that they can still do what they want, consenting adults over 18. But I think it's children that are under the age of 18 are no longer allowed to, if this executive order goes through, um, participate in anything to do with changing their gender from a medical standpoint, meaning hormone therapy or having those surgeries. Um, Again, this is probably constitutionally speaking, is probably a state issue, but he wants to put this through. And again, as a Christian, I don't agree with that. Especially if it's children. No, under the age of 18, you don't have this type of ability. You have to, wait till you're of age and of sound mind, um, to decide if you want to do this. And if you look, there's a lot of people today who have had these things because their parents pushed them into it, um, uh, and they ended up living with regret. The suicide rate is very high for children who have this type of stuff done and then get older because it's not what they really wanted, but they were a child, they were young, even if they were in their teens. You're not mentally stable yet. You're still growing, you're still learning, your brain is still developing until you're about 25. So you're not in the right mind frame, and you turn to the adults to help guide you in the right direction. And these adults fail these children. Even if this is something that's going on, maybe um, a parent can, try and help the child in any way that they see fit. But to actually have them go through with something that's permanent that they can't undo, um, is a very big deal. It's not good. And, that could be considered in some ways child abuse. But we'll see what happens with this stuff. I don't really, know too much about all the details of these things because the executive orders are not released yet. But maybe when they do get released, at least we can take a look here on this channel and read some of them to really get into the depths of it. Because a lot of times politicians just put like a title on something, and the bill has 15 different things that have nothing to do with that topic embedded in it. And I'm not saying that Trump's going to do that, but sometimes the politicians will, sneak their way into stuff in order to get deals and stuff like that. Um, but we'll see what happens when he finally does release this stuff. Maybe we'll take a look at it here on the channel and actually read the bills, because I feel like a lot of people, especially, the average citizen, doesn't sit there and read bills. They're busy with their job or their family and their life and stuff. But it'd be interesting to see what some of these have to say in detail. So one other thing I want to make note of, which I find very interesting, is that Donald Trump's inauguration is on January 20th, this Monday, which is also Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And Martin Luther King Jr. gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech in Washington, D.C., I believe the Lincoln Memorial. And it was like 1963, if I'm not mistaken. And he spoke a lot about freedom. And so I kind of find it ironic that it's going full circle, because a lot of times people associate his speech with um, being about race and specifically tailored to Black people. But if you actually read his speech, it talks a lot about America and freedom and everybody getting along and being one children of God, one American populace, one group of citizens that are maybe indistinguishable visually, but spiritually and patriotically in line, in agreement. So let's take a quick look at that now. He says right here, with this faith, we will be able to work together, pray together, to struggle together. For some reason he says go to jail together, but I think it's because back then they segregated the prisons into blacks only and white only prisons, to climb up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing, land where my father died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. Now, if you've watched previous videos, you know that I've talked a little bit about pilgrims and the Puritans and that whole movement back then, and how America was founded, even before it was America, as a Christian nation. It was ordained by God. And the Puritans, the pilgrims, they're the ones that started that whole migration here to seek religious freedom. And that was one of the biggest, most important things, and basically the main reason they left behind the number one nation in world history, Great Britain, and came to a barren land of undeveloped, nothing was really here. It was just the American Indians, and they had very few structures, very few things developed. But there really was not much going on, not much innovation. They really just lived off of the land. And so they left everything behind, came here and started literally from scratch. Um, but in this speech, he talks about, freedom and God and, the land of the Pilgrim's Pride, right? What they had come here for, to be a Christian nation. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. And it goes on to say other things. And then it says, when we let freedom ring, when we let it ring from every tenement, when we let freedom ring from every state, every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. And if you've never heard that famous speech, that's a famous line, that final line, as well as I Have a Dream. But he talks about all people getting together and being united, which is what we were, which is what America's supposed to be, the United States of America, right? But it's funny because Trump brought a lot of people together. And I don't know if you've seen these different groups for Trump. He's had every different type of group for Trump. He's had blacks for Trump. He's had Latinos for Trump, Jews for Trump, even gays for Trump, like many different types of people who are, groups that have declared like they're for, Trump, and they're all united under this MAGA movement, this MAGA party. And it's interesting because Martin Luther King Jr. had envisioned that, and here it is on his day that is dedicated to him. Trump, who brought a lot of that and brought people back together and united the country, even though many said he divided it, he really united it in many ways, and brought a lot of people into the Republican Party that the Republicans have not been able to do for a very long time, for many, many decades. Brought all these different types of people from different backgrounds to vote Republican for this one man. And here he is giving his speech on Martin Luther King Day at his inauguration this coming Monday. So I find it ironic sometimes, things go full circle. And I feel like God, too, he has his hand in many things, and a lot of things connect. especially when you look over time, a lot of times dates repeat themselves. Like something happens on a date, and then maybe 100 years later on that same date, something very similar happens. This happens throughout the Bible too. So it's very interesting and ironic that that's what's going on. And also Martin Luther King, right? Like Martin Luther King Jr. I believe his parents named him Martin Luther because of Martin Luther, the famous monk who started the Protestant movement, many centuries ago when he opposed the Catholic Church. He gave his like 95 thesis. I think he nailed it to the door of the Catholic Church, and it basically explained how the church should be run and opposed a lot of what the Catholics were doing, saying that it wasn't in line with God or the Bible. And he was famous for starting the Protestant religion. And the Protestants, at one point, were the majority of any religion in America. It was a majority Protestant. And which, that wasn't the case because across the world, many people were Catholic. And like I said, Christianity is at the root of America. So, some things are kind of interesting. They might not all be connected totally, but I find it interesting that, Martin Luther started the Protestant religion. Many people who left Great Britain back in the 1600s were Protestants, and they left because of religious persecution. And they came to America. And then, Martin Luther King, centuries later, talked about freedom and Americans being united. And then on Monday, Donald Trump, who accomplished a lot of that, is speaking on Martin Luther King Jr.'s day. So, some of the stuff is interesting. I like to connect the dots sometimes, and I find a lot of the stuff ironic, but it's all by God's design. So, let's see what happens on Monday. But if he releases the executive orders, which at some point they will, maybe we'll read them on this channel in the future. But that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share all that good stuff. It keeps the channel growing. And put in the comments. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think the inauguration is going to be like. Let me know, if what other executive orders you think he might pass that we didn't mention here today. And let me know what other videos you'd like me to, make in the future, what topics you'd like me to talk about. That's it for this video, so stay tuned for the next one. All right, everybody, I just want to take a moment to promote my children's book. This is Little Boy Full of Love. That's me on the back. And this is a little sneak peek on the inside. It's a great book. It's a children's book. I actually wrote this for my son. And it's available right now on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, Indigo, Bookshop.org, and a lot of other online platforms. But more importantly to me, it's actually available in a lot of bookstores throughout the country. You can find out which ones are closest to you on my Instagram page. We highly recommend that you shop local, buy from a local bookstore. So if you are looking to, get a children's book for you or anybody you know, or even with the holidays coming up, it's a great time to, buy a children's book as a gift. Definitely get it from a bookstore that's local to you. But if you absolutely can't get it from one of the bookstores that are currently carrying it right now, and we're in about 15 or 16 different states across the country, so it may actually be in your state, and it could even be local to you. But if you can't get it from the physical bookstore, check out our Amazon storefront. The book's available on there right now. And like I said, with the holidays coming up, you may want to do your Christmas or Hanukkah or holiday shopping early, and you can even order it from our Amazon storefront and ship it directly to whoever you're gifting it to. But it's available on those platforms, Amazon storefront and bookstores and other websites that I mentioned. But I want to take a moment here to look at the storefront just to give you an idea of some other stuff that we have available on there. These are products that we highly recommend. They are things that we use in our daily lives, and it's all organized by category. So it's a lot easier to, shop for the holidays and specifically for things that interest you, particular categories. available right now, many different items on our storefront. If you can see here, 61 items just in women's apparel, fall decor, because right now we're in fall, 26 items, kitchen items, baking specifically, things for around the house, children's toys, even stuff for parties. If you're trying to save money on a party and throw in your own, occasion, you can even buy some cool gadgets here to help you, put on a better party. Health and wellness items here, even stuff for Christmas. And there's the book right there. So you can get it from the storefront. You can get it from the bookstores, like I mentioned. But it's available on all these different platforms. It's really easy to find and gift to somebody. Also, I want to show you the apparel shop, and these are some clothing items that we actually produced. So if you're looking to get some cool apparel items, shirts, hoodies, long sleeve, short sleeve, leggings, even accessories, cell phone cases, women's makeup bags, fanny packs, coffee mugs, all different types of stuff, even some, art, all different categories here, apparel, homeware, accessories, drinks, even digital items. It's all on this store, healthybodygoodssoul.com. Anything that pertains to you or somebody that you're looking to get a gift for the holidays. A lot of great designs on here, a lot of cool designs that we actually custom created. Stainless steel water bottles, especially now with the fall and winter. A lot of cool hoodies and long sleeve shirts. This is a really cool one, I think, for women. The original Be Your Soul apparel, that one's actually really popular. People tend to like that. This one's one of my favorites. The free shirt. It's the American flag, and it says free, and that says not property of the United States government. That one's pretty cool. Got all different types of tank tops, hoodies, long sleeve, short sleeve, tote bags, coffee mugs, even some items for kids, backpacks. So if you're the type that likes to, plan ahead, I would definitely recommend ordering from the Amazon storefront or the apparel shop within the next couple of weeks to get everything in time for the holidays. Use code SAVE15 on the apparel shop to save 15% off everything on the storefront. So order within the next week or two, and you'll definitely have everything in time for the holidays. Definitely check out all the links to everything, the Amazon storefront, the book, and the apparel shop in my bio on all my platforms: Rumble, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. But you can also find them in all the show notes for every episode that I post, and get all your orders in time for the holidays. All right, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It helps the channel continue to grow. And put in the comments things that you would like me to talk about and make videos on for the future. And I will definitely do my best to do that. Stay tuned for the next one.